Wow, thank you so much, Tamara. What a powerful message. We're so blessed you're here. I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to another friend and a subject matter expert on so many issues of significance, Ann Taylor. Ann has been actively engaged in advocacy for children. Her work includes the increasingly destructive federal education mandates within Common Core and the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. She has engaged in opposition to the massive data collection, manipulation involved in social and emotional learning, which we just heard about, and student surveys. She's an advocate for protecting parental rights and for the growing opt-out movement from intrusive standardized testing from the Planned Parenthood pre-K through 12 comprehensive sex education curriculum. Ann is involved with and a valued member of both Minnesota Advocates and Champions for Children, MAC, M-A-C-C, and the Child Protection League. How fortunate we are to have Ann on our team and addressing us today. Please join me in welcoming Ann.
Thank you, Cindy. What both an honor it is to be here and a bit sobering for the reasons that bring people like you and I together here today. My story begins with a voice of advocacy that began in 2011 with the first release of my post-abortion testimony. Like some of us here today, I too had a challenging childhood, where as I got into my young adult years, it was easy to excuse some of my life decisions. Some by choice, others were not. And because of those experiences, and with the help of God leading and encouraging me, I allowed myself to follow His call. That is, my friends, what has led me to do what is right, to advocate for what is good and what is best for the children in our society in the state of Minnesota. Now, I can speak of Planned Parenthood because my first abortion took place at one of those facilities. It was actually in Arizona. I can speak to the harm it inflicted in my body, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and how it affects the entire family. For those of you that don't already know, the Planned Parenthood that's just down the way here from our state capitol is the third largest Planned Parenthood facility in the United States of America, and accounts for the majority of abortions here and across several neighboring states. Let me ask you this. Do we want them in our schools? No! A little louder. No! Guess what? They already are. Comprehensive sex education is only going to further it. In 2013, Common Core created the National Sexuality, it's a long word, right? National Sexual Education Standards, where Planned Parenthood frequently did the underwriting of the standards themselves, but they aren't the only players. Let me put it to you this way. To talk about Common Core, which is still in place, by the way, we now have Every Student Succeeds Act, SEL, equity, you name it. It's still in place. If you talk about Common Core, you've got to talk about Bill Gates. You've got to talk about the deep pockets of standardized testing, of data collection, the nefarious, intrusive surveys that are inflicted on our children without parental consent while lowering the education bar, infiltrating our schools, both public and private, having nothing to do with education. Similarly, to speak of sex education in our schools would be like leaving out Planned Parenthood. But for now, I'm going to switch gears. We're going to talk about something that's going on in our public libraries, which you and I pay for. For 2 consecutive years, Drag Queen Storytime has taken place just over here in St. Paul at their public library. And ironically, our library has joined forces with Twin City community of drag performers and has also worked with the library for the last 2 years. Shockingly, they do not vet the drag queens. If you or I were to enter our child's school, whether to volunteer or help in the lunchroom or any capacity whatsoever, we are subject to a full background check. My friends, this is a safety issue and one where we need to challenge those who are voted into office as well as those hired in authority and ask, who are these people? And why? Why do they get clearance? We've heard stories in other states where drag performers were at these libraries and convicted child perpetrators. This is not to say that all drag queens are convicted pedophiles, but they do often moonlight in the adult entertainment industry and some running prostitution rings. Should they be around our children in a public library? Hennepin County also revealed that drag performers are not reading books like A Fuzzy Little Caterpillar or Curious George. They're reading supposed high-quality literature based on a mix of acceptance and difference that includes gender, transgenderism, only confusing our young children. Folks, this is a nationally orchestrated grooming movement, normalizing pedophilia, and it's happening on your dime. Like Common Core, like Planned Parenthood, we need to challenge those deep pockets because it was also revealed that this funding is not only on your dime, but also comes through private donors. I suggest an official investigation be done. To continue to create public awareness, take action through mass resistance, and boy, do we need to pray. And I'll tell you what, something else I was reminded of this morning at my home parish. Everyone can use prayer. It aren't just the ones, not just you guys and other legislators, everyone standing before us and behind us today. There are those in opposition that need prayer the most. Pray for a serious change of heart and to do what is right and just in the eyes of God, which includes keeping all of our children free from harm. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. We're going to take another quick commercial break, and this time I want to give a shout out and a huge thank you to all of our wonderful volunteers who planned the rally and to everyone who helped spread the word door to door. Door knocking, making phone calls, sharing the handouts on social media, at church, and with your family and friends. And I know that this includes many of you. Thank you so much. Let's just give yourself a comprehensive sex ed. If you want to take more handouts, either visit our table or you can get some from our volunteers wearing the red shirts. So here's some other ideas. You could take out an ad in your local paper. You could write a letter to the editor. Really great letters to the editor that I've seen, and I'm so grateful every time I read one that takes work to do. I have to warn you, and I'm sure you won't be surprised, that the media is not allowing our flyers to be publicly posted because the words are too graphic. So graphic that the media will not state or publish them in the public. Quote unquote, it's perfectly normal and age appropriate for 10-year-olds, not. Friends, the handouts that we have printed are tame compared to what our children are getting in the comprehensive sex ed curriculum. Yet adults are not allowed to see them. This is outrageous, but this is the reality that we're facing. So our next speaker is Jeff Flicker. Jeff is a field representative with Turning Point, USA, Minnesota. His goal is to educate high school and college students on the key conservative values of fiscal responsibility, limited government, and America being the best country on earth. He's here today to tell us about his connection with someone you may have recently seen on the Mark Levin show, Jocko Boyens. Please join me in welcoming Jeff.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Flicker, as she mentioned. I'm the field director for Minnesota with Turning Point USA, an organization that believes in limited government, free markets, and loving America and the freedoms that God has granted us. Yeah. It's amazing to see the representation of all of you out here today fighting against this disgusting bill that they're trying to pass through. Today we're making a stand that government has no place pushing this secular and one-sided education on our children. As a good friend of mine, Jocko Boyens, mentioned, good does not fight enough. Okay? That is what all of you are doing here today, is standing up for what is right and what is moral. I just really applaud that. Thank you so much. Jocko has spent his life fighting for safety and real empowerment of women in our country, not the falsehood of modern feminism. He has appeared on Fox News multiple times, trained our FBI and CIA agents on how to fight child sex trafficking, and as a brother to his sister who is sex trafficked, he has key insight on how to identify, help the victims, and stand up to this evil. He will be here in the Twin Cities speaking on October 15th at the University of Minnesota in Ralph Rapson Hall, room number 45. Okay? And October 16th at Bethel University in the Underground. Both events are at 7 p.m. The events are free, and I encourage students of high school and college age to attend. Adults can attend as well. But I want you to check our Facebook page at the Turning Point USA at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities for more updates. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Our keynote speaker for today's Protect Kids rally will be Karen England. Karen is the Executive Director of Capital Resources Institute in California and has traveled all that way to be here with us today. Karen has first-hand experience with comprehensive sex education and what it actually looks like once it becomes law. California has already passed a law very similar to Minnesota's House File 1414. We know what the words comprehensive, quote unquote, age-appropriate, quote unquote, and medically accurate really means in CSE classrooms, we're all going to want to pay close attention to all that Karen has to share with us today. She's also sounded the alarm about CSE for social change. Please join me in offering a warm Minnesota welcome to Karen England.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I am so impressed with this crowd. I travel the nation doing comprehensive sex ed, and this is a huge crowd on a Sunday afternoon, so thank you. That was my song. Can you all hold your signs up? I want to take a picture. That wasn't very great. Awesome. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm from California, so let me apologize right away. What happens in California doesn't stay in California, and that is true with comprehensive sex education. If there was ever a time, a call to arms, now is the time. Back in 2015, we passed comprehensive sex education in the state of California, and if you pay attention to the news, you're starting to see what is happening as they implement it, because the local school districts are forced to implement it. Parents are up in arms, but it's the law, and that's what they want to do here in Minnesota. Organizations like Planned Parenthood, other promoters of sex, have been busy writing curriculum, busy writing the standards that aren't real, they're just made up standards from the people who love to teach kids about sex. And they are pushing this on our kids. One of the speakers earlier mentioned it's probably going on in your district. You're going to hear a call to action, but it is going on in school districts, even without the law being passed, because you have activists who are going to the school districts enforcing it. This is happening in Nevada. This is happening in Virginia. In California, you heard the story about the little boy who came out as a girl in the kindergarten class after they read the book I Am Jazz. This is happening around the nation, and Minnesota is not exempt. Sex education has become something way different than what we had when we were growing up. It's about teaching kids, and this is because of Planned Parenthood, about their sexual rights and how they have sexual rights and need to exercise them. Now, I don't know about you, but our 4 kids didn't have a lot of sexual rights or other rights under the age of 18 in our home. And we raised them according to our values, and we certainly didn't expect the school or think the school was going to undermine everything we were teaching our kids. But they are. And that's why stopping this bill, and when it returns again, is so important. You need to stay engaged in this battle, because I guarantee you, Planned Parenthood is going to stay engaged. So as I mentioned, districts around the nation, they're acquiring curriculum. They're, some of them are writing it, but one thing I've noticed when they're writing the curriculum, it's just a reprint of the curriculum that's out there. So there's nothing new. I've gone through every piece of curriculum that's approved by the state of California, read them all, San Francisco to San Diego, and I have to tell you, it's all just a rewrite. And I have no doubt that Minnesota's model curriculum will be a rewrite of everything I'm about to read to you today. So, if you have kids, cover their ears, because here we go. I'm going to do some reading. So, in my opinion, sexual health education has become nothing more than a way for Planned Parenthood, the sexual rights activists, to promote exploration of various sexual activities. And that includes, and you're going to hear this a lot as I read from K through 12 curriculum, including oral and anal sex. I'll say it again. Yes, ew. So both the content and the method of teaching is designed to desensitize our kids, lower their inhibitions, and teach them about sexual acts while violating their innocence, their modesty, and their privacy. It's nothing short of grooming. Planned Parenthood is the nation's largest provider of sex education with 1.5 million people a year. Yes, big boo. Minnesota, they're so proud of it. It's all over their website. I'm reading directly from Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the largest provider of comprehensive sex education in Minnesota. What is wrong with that picture that they are the number one provider of sex education? Something is already wrong. Going on, this is directly from Planned Parenthood, and I want to say, we had some protesters earlier. I am happy to stay after and have you refute anything that I am saying, because it is the truth, and it's the truth they don't want you to know. But I'm happy to stay if the protesters want to stay and have a conversation about the truth about this, and I encourage them to stay and point out to me anything that hasn't been accurate that has been set up here today. So anyway, continuing on with what Planned Parenthood themselves say in Minnesota, Planned Parenthood reaches nearly 50,000 Minnesotans across the lifespan. This is the good part, including young people in elementary, middle, and high school. Why are they the largest provider of sex ed in elementary school? I think they should be renamed Planned Profits. Comprehensive sex ed has become nothing but a way to acquire younger and newer customers for Planned Parenthood. I'm going to read, and again, a lot of what I'm reading is because people, including the media, don't believe it. And they don't believe us when we're out there telling the public what's going on. So I want you to read directly from Planned Parenthood. Here we go. Queering Sex Ed is a new project at Planned Parenthood Toronto, developing a sex ed resource with and for LGBTQ youth. The information and resources below have been created by the Queering Sex Education Youth Advisory Committee. And then they go on to ask, why queering sex ed? Again, quoting directly from Planned Parenthood. You need to believe them when they're telling you what they want to do with their children. They go on to say, we recognize the need for an alternative sex education resource. It's not okay that gaps are being left in our sexual experiences and being ignored. There's so much opportunity in the queer world that includes queer sex. Penis and vagina is one kind of sex, but it's not the only kind of sex. I apologize for my Even the experts, and Planned Parenthood goes on to say this, even the experts don't all agree on the definition of what sexual activity is. They go on to say different people consider many different activities to be sex, but pretty much all definitions of sex include sexual intercourse, which means vaginal sex, which refers to oral sex. I think God's turning off the microphone. Oral sex, which is when one person puts their mouth in another person's genitals. It should offend you. It should offend you. They want to teach this all the way down to elementary school. It goes on. How many of you are familiar with CSE If? Is the Information Education Council of the United States. They're the BFF of Planned Parenthood. They go on and they say what those of us that have been in the battle for a lot of years, have been trying to alert the public about what comprehensive sex ed is about. But this last year, Planned Parenthood and CSE ripped the mask off what they've been doing, and they went public with what their plans are. This is directly from CSE. CSE asserts that sexuality is a fundamental part of being human, one worthy of dignity and respect. We advocate for the rights of all people to accurate information, comprehensive sexuality education, and the full spectrum of sexual and reproductive health services. CSE works to create a world that ensures social justice inclusive of sexual and reproductive rights. Our schools aren't supposed to be instruments of social justice. Student health is absolutely not CSE or Planned Parenthood's priority. Social change is their true goal, and that's what this bill is about. CSE
to say that while sex education is a necessary sexual health tool, it can and should be so much more than that. With sex education, we have a golden opportunity to create a cultural shift tackling misinformation, shame, and stigma that create the basis for many of today's sexual and reproductive health rights and issues. And then they go on to say, like reproductive justice, dismantling white supremacy. They see sexualizing our kids and indoctrinating them as their golden opportunity. That is offensive, and I say shame on you. And to any legislator, policymaker, school board member that is supporting this, I say shame on you. Sex education is no longer a 1 or 2 hour class about body changes, nutrition, health, exercise. It's about dismantling our values. It's about promoting sex, how to have sex. I said it before, what happens in California doesn't stay in California, and Minnesota schools are never going to be the same if this bill passes or a new one, and it will come up again, moves forward. And now I'm quoting directly from the Minnesota bill. It says you have to have a model program, including written materials, curriculum resources, and training for instructors. Who do you think does the training for instructors? Planned Parenthood. Shame on you. So model programs from other states I'm going to talk a little bit about so that you know what's going on. I'm going to give you and read some excerpts that are specifically from the most popular nationwide curriculums. I'm going to start with kids. Are teaching. Kindergarten, this is your body. You have a right to know what different body parts are called. And then they go in to tell the kids to say the word out loud. Oh, let's all say penis. Penis. Again, desensitized, grooming. Explain to them that most people have a vulva or a penis, but some people's bodies can be different. Your body is exactly what's right for you. It's the idea that you choose your gender. 3rd grade, discuss the rainbow flag and what it represents, that it's the pride of gay and lesbian people. Our 3rd graders, okay, I don't know about your kids, but they're usually kind of picking their nose, punching each other, and they're not really focused on the rainbow gay pride flag. Nor should they be. More curriculum, 5th grade. Define sexual orientation in its most common categories. And then it goes on to tell the 5th graders. Sometimes we will have these feelings for people who are our same gender. This is called being gay. Some gay women call themselves lesbians, and sometimes we might have feelings for all genders. This is called being bisexual. How many of you, when you were in elementary school, wanted to marry your teacher, marry your mom or dad, your best friend who happened to be the same gender? That is normal development. We are now going to be telling our kids that loving their best friend means they're gay. That is not what it means. It's natural development. So I'm going to go on and talk about a little bit more about the curriculum, and I want you guys have heard about the book that Planned Parenthood talks about. It's perfectly normal. And they're promoting it. Shame on you. This is for 10 years of age and older. The pictures in here are pornographic. And I was speaking with one of your lawmakers, and here's one of the things that people don't know. Most of these pictures, if I was to leave it in a boardroom or a work environment and someone was to look at it, it'd be considered sexual harassment. If this was left in some sort of lunchroom where you work, the pictures would be considered sexual harassment. But the left is always ahead of us. And they have taken, and Minnesota is one of the states where they've taken exemptions for obscenity laws. And so although we have obscenity laws, California and Nevada are exempt as well, they're one of the 44, your public schools are exempt from obscenity laws, and that's how a lot of this stuff is getting in there with the graphic pictures. Shame on you if you support this. The curriculum that they are pushing, it seeks to erase everything our children have been taught at home about gender. It encourages teachers to stop referring to boys or girls and make reference to them as they, or as one of the curriculums starts in 6th grade, don't call them she. Call them a person, women, a person with a vulva. When did the feminists, which I'm a huge Phyllis Schlafly fan, Eagle Forum, the ultimate feminist she was, when did we want to start being referred to as our body parts? So are we supposed to, these are the instructions from the curriculum. Please line up if you have a vulva here, and those of you that have a penis, line up here. That is the curriculum's instruction to the 6th grade teacher. I'm reading directly from it. They also put down, a lot of people say, well, people believe different things. But the curriculum goes further, and it inserts digs at those of us that have the belief that you're born male or female. And it creates gender confusion. I'm going to quote again, directly from, and this happens to be Advocates for Youth, 6th grade teacher's script. Typically when a baby is born, they are identified as a boy or a girl, based on their genitalia, penis or vulva. Unfortunately, that moment will probably determine how the people in that baby's life will interact with that child. Again, it stigmatizes those of us that believe you're born male or female. They talk about your being assigned at birth. The doctor didn't just assign the gender at birth. He looked at your biology and your body parts and determined you're a boy or a girl. He didn't just say, oh, I have a lot of girls today and the next 2 are going to be boys. It is determined by biology. Does that sound medically accurate that it's your feelings that determine your gender? Not at all. So that we talk about it's perfectly normal, and I've already read a lot of the obscene stuff, so I'm not going to read from that book. But now I'm going to go on to middle school. This is 7th and 8th graders. So these are 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds. This is, again, from a different curriculum. I'm covering several different curriculums. What is sex? Introduce today's session to the class by telling students they're going to discuss what oral, anal, and vaginal sex is. How do you protect yourself? With a condom or dental dam every time you have vaginal, anal, or oral sex. Applying lubricant. The outside of the condom also makes vaginal and anal sex more comfortable. We talk about medically accurate. There is no FDA-approved condom for anal sex. And the reason there isn't is because it's not safe. And who do you think are going to be the recipients of this new idea of having anal sex? It's going to be our daughters. It's going to be our daughters that are going to be pressured into this new phenomenon called anal sex that they're promoting in all the curriculum. This is really nothing more than pornography that's wrapped up in a bow and called sex education. And they can talk about dental dams and they can talk about condoms all they want, but there is no condom for the heart, minds, and soul of our kids. Once they are exposed to this offensive visual information, we cannot get it back. It repeats over and over in their heads. And I have to say, my husband often says, this is nothing more than giving a kid, especially a boy, a .357 and saying, hey, don't shoot it, but here it is. That's what we're doing with this curriculum and with comprehensive sex ed. So parents, please don't be deceived
into thinking that it's not happening in Minnesota or not coming here. And you're going to hear some action items that will tell you what you can do and where you're going to go from here. And I've committed, for whatever reason I feel called to sex education. I didn't know it was calling, but it's something I feel very called to. And I've committed, and I've let the board know, I will do whatever I need to help this be stopped in Minnesota. I will come back and work with educators. I will testify. I will work with their board. I am committed to making sure we stop this now and then we push it by the school districts that have chosen to do this. Thank you. I don't do it for the applause. It's the right thing. And I do have to say I am impressed with the legislators that showed up, because often they don't want to talk about any social issue, and they don't want to talk about controversial stuff because they don't want to be called names. This is a winning issue. Our kids, and introducing them to grooming and sexually explicit material as young as kindergarten, is a winning issue. It's not a matter of right versus left. It's right versus wrong. And we need to come alongside them and stand with them as they fight on this. So I want to encourage you to not let parents use your child as a golden opportunity. That's not what our children are. Don't let them strip away our kids' innocence and use them for cultural change with our tax dollars. There is no lobbyist for families. We are it. The moms and dads are who need to advocate for our kids, whether it's before the school board, the legislature. We aren't a big union. We're moms and dads who are busy going to church, running to soccer, doing everything that families do. So at this point, they're going to bring up someone who's going to give you some action items. But I love William Wilberforce. Anyone familiar with William Wilberforce? Okay, I'm a big Wilberforce fan. So I'm going to leave with a quote, and I tend to do this if you watch some of my videos online. But I think it's powerful and worth saying. He says, you may choose to look the other way, but you can never say again that you did not know. So thank you, and get out there and get after it.
Thank you, Karen. Wow, that was such a fabulous heads up. We're so grateful you came all this way. So as you've heard today, the ideology and agenda driving comprehensive sex education is a threat to the well-being of children. The Minnesota Department of Education assures parents that its curriculum is developmentally appropriate and medically accurate, quote unquote. Really? According to whose standards? Planned Parenthood? As we know, the opposition has been implementing their sexual revolution agenda for decades. Friends, we are the resistance to their revolution. The grassroots are ablaze through the great state of Minnesota. Many want to do something to counter the left's radical ideology and agenda, and for which we are very, very grateful. You care about protecting the innocence of kids and showed up today. Thank you. You care about the culture in which children are growing up and showed up today. So thank you. You've gone door to door and have sounded the alarms with all those within your sphere of influence. And for that, we're grateful as well. But we're just beginning, and we have so much work to do. Now it's time to tell legislators, especially our senators, that there's much more to do. And the Department of Education, that you want your children to learn the 3 R's, not the ideology that exposes children to sexual liberation, deviance, and gender confusion. And to let them know that you do not want your hard-earned tax dollars going to pay for programs, policies, and comprehensive sex education education curricula that blatantly contradict and undermine your family's values and beliefs. On behalf of the Minnesota Child Protection League, we thank you for your interest in and dedication to protecting kids. We greatly appreciate your support and look forward in working together in the months and years ahead to stop a CSE mandate in schools dead in its tracks. Before I introduce today's last speaker who will wrap up our rally, I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank you once again for being here and wish you, each and every one of you, a wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon, and may God bless each and every one of you as well. Thank you so much. Our wrap-up speaker is Michelle Lentz, President of Minnesota Child Protection League Action. She educates and equips activists to protect children from exploitation, indoctrination, and violence. With over 25 years' experience in sales, marketing, and public relations, Michelle has proven her ability to make important issues understandable while moving people to action. Michelle is committed to creating strong families in Minnesota, and she and her husband James have 9 adult children and 6 grandchildren. Michelle understands that undermining the physical, moral, and spiritual foundation of our children destroys families. Strong families are the foundation of our liberty in America. A broken society can only come through strong, moral, physical, and spiritually grounded families. Please join me in welcoming Michelle. Thank you.
All right, we're going to use the mic today. Thank you, Cindy, and thanks everybody for coming. Sometimes you plan events like this, and then the night before you wonder, if anybody will show up. Does anybody care about kids like we do, and really care about kids like we do? Friends, the opposition said this bill will be back. However, if it doesn't come back this next session, that's your victory. That's you. That's what you did. You and us working together. But it won't stop there. You understand that, don't you, after all these speakers? This is not going away anytime soon, and we have to make it toxic for years to come. We at the Child Protection League aim to do just that. To get rid of it for now, and to get rid of it for good. And guess what? We have a strategy to do that. This rally is phase 1 of that strategy. But we are on the march now. Are you with me? This issue crosses all demographics, all ages, all parties, all religions. Nobody wants their children to be sexualized. We have a winning message on this because we have the truth. All right, here's our strategy, and this is where we need you, because all of us together have to do these things. Listen to what is on our to-do list, so to speak, and ask yourself, what am I being called to do? Because you might not be called to do the same thing that your neighbor is called to do. So just listen for what is the calling for you, because it's all of us working together that's going to stop this. The first thing that we ask you to do is get on our email list. We don't send out a lot of emails, but we need to communicate with you and we need to hear from you. So go to cplaction.com, just sign up for our email updates, and let's start there. Next, take the info cards that are on our tables around here, if there's any left, and hand out the information on CSE to your friends and neighbors. Thirdly, visit your legislators, even the ones who support Why do I say that? Because if you go to them and you say, look, this is non-negotiable, they, even if they're in a safe seat, will begin to get very nervous that they're going to lose their power if they continue to push this. Does that make sense to you? Then, go to your school boards and ask them, what kind of curriculum is here? Can I see it, by the way? Of course you can, it's the law. You get to review it. Ask for the opportunity to review it. And also, document the correspondence between you and the school personnel and the school board, because sometimes they're not forthcoming. But we're going to get to the bottom of it, and if they're not, we're going to find out. And then we're going to help you to hold them accountable. Lastly, and almost most important, we have to take this issue all the way to the elections. We will not tell you who to vote for because that's not what our organization does. We might tell you to go tell your legislator what you think. However, we will report the votes that are taken and let you know how your legislators voted. And if they voted for this or legislation like this, then talk to those candidates and make this stopping of comprehensive sex ed one of your top 3 issues. Non-negotiable. If you're for that, I'm not for you. Right? My friends, don't underestimate your power and the force of who we are when we are united. I guarantee you they are getting nervous. You have upset their plans. But now we aim to destroy it. They are going to try to divide us. Are we going to let them? No! You and I are strong together. We're a growing force. We're a force against the threat of those who have waged war for the hearts and minds of our children. Some days I know this battle is heavy. Some days I know that it seems like the culture war is not a winnable war. But I want you to know this is not that day. Some days we're going to get beat up, and some battles we're going to lose. But I want you to know that is not this day. This day, we fight. This day, we took this hill, we planted our flag here, and we said, not with my kids, you don't. So here we are, we're wrapping it up. Before I say farewell, Godspeed and safe travels, will you please join me in once again thanking Cindy Pugh, our campaign chair, Kelly Jansen, our campaign manager, all of our speakers, Karen England, Tamara Scott, Noah, who's here, Jeff, all of our legislators. Please give them safe and we'll be in life.
Just push that red button right there.